Hi, I'm Jay Draper.
Hello, I'm Daniel Waldman, and we're here with the Disability Den.
We're at the corner of Bathurst and St. Clair, and we're asking people today about Mayor Olivia Chow.
I'm really hopeful,
Yeah?
yes, that she's been elected.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What should be her, first order of business?
I think that, kind of the two things that are really important is that everybody should have nutrition and proper food, and I think that that's really key in terms of addressing all kinds of social issues. People have the right to proper nutrition, and the second thing is smell the air. It's the environment. Okay? So, take care.
Smell the air, the environment. She's right.
Rent control. I know Ford took away rent control, and it's a real problem. When we talk about privatization and yes, housing is a business, but we're tenants in that business.
Okay, so the first issue with all the politicians was they all said the same thing about housing affordability, TDC, and all that sort of stuff, except for Saunders, who talked about crime. But of course, that's kind of, in my mind, that's a non-issue because crime always fluctuates at about the same level. And it's really dependent from the statistics about the number of men between the ages of about 15 and 25 or 30, right, in the area. So in that respect, I didn't see much difference between Chow and the other people. I think she is going to be typical spend. Not that some of the things she's going to spend on are unwarranted, I think they are, but I just don't think that she, along with a lot of people who support her, understand the concept of budgets and financing and what that aspect is going to do to the individual. There's also the issue of some of these problems that we have. She, along with the other contenders, talked about things, for example, like housing affordability. Well, yeah, that's an issue that actually hits me quite substantially as well as a renter. But the truth is, at the municipal level, not much you can do about it, if anything. I mean, it comes down to interest rates, it comes down to demand, which is really dependent on the number of people coming into the city. And at the federal level, we're going to have, 500,000 people come into the country each year for the next, I think, 3 years or so.
So you don't think there is a demand for affordable housing, though?
There's a demand for it, but you got people coming into the country, and most of them want to come to the GTA. So how are you going to finance it, and where are these places going to come from? Because we need housing right now for the people who are coming in. Apparently there's a shortfall, according to the stats that I've seen, of about 300,000 units more or less across the country.
She claims that she's promised to build 25,000 affordable housing units over the next 8 years.
Okay, so where are they going to go and who's going to pay for them? And one of the issues with affordable housing and subsidized housing generally is what conditions are going to be placed upon the people moving into these residences, right? So are they just going to be asked to pay, say, a flat fee of, say, $600 or $800 a month? Or are they going to be asked to also contribute financially beyond that, based on what they're receiving from, say, various social benefits or from jobs that they have?
I believe some of the units are supposed to be income adjusted depending on what you make.
Yeah, okay, well that's fair, and I think all of them should be like that. One of the issues, of course, is where are they going to go? The GTA is a large area, but everybody seems to want to concentrate downtown, which is where the most expensive properties are. And if you suggested going to Scarborough or Brampton, well, Brampton's not GTA, but Northwest Etobicoke or Southwest Etobicoke or out in the more remote areas of the GTA itself, oh no, you can't do that to us. We demand to be down here. And you know what? For me, that's a no-go. You deserve something, but you don't deserve to take my money that I'm short on to begin with and need to survive on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to get everything for yourself on a subsidized basis, so it's...
And do you think that this would help you in any way, bring down rental prices in general, or maybe give you an option for affordable housing?
Probably wouldn't help at all. My understanding is there's about an 8 or 10 year wait for subsidized housing right now in the city.
Well, that's because there's very few units, right?
Okay, but once again, where's she going to put the 25,000 units? And how long will it take them to build them? A condo...
Claiming over 8 years.
Exactly. So 8 years from now, I'm going to have 25,000 more units, but between now and then, I'm going to have another million people come into the GTA demanding some sort of housing. So 25,000 units is nice, but is it going to do anything in substance over the long term? No, not of substance. I think it's going to be, it's going to be a minor benefit.
So, aside from housing, do you think there's anything else that she should be focusing on?
Well, I think transit's an issue, and yeah. I mean, we are here on St. Clair, and we have this dedicated streetcar line. And I can tell you from practical experience that the TTC can't even run that on a schedule that they post. If you go into the subway system, you take a look at how often they're supposed to run the streetcars. It's never, or very rarely, according to what they're posting. If they can't even do that on a dedicated line, I mean, the whole system needs rethink. We need more buses. That in the short term to get to all the parts of the GTA. The service is generally dedicated to providing relatively good service in the core. But if you get outside of the core and you get away from the subways to any substantive distance, the TTC is a no-go. Yeah. People also talk about things like safety on the TTC. Well, I've talked to drivers, and I've looked at this myself, and I have some interesting stories on the TTC that happened to me, and other people have had the same. In fact, I would fire their entire security team and start from scratch, and I think whoever is responsible should never work or a public agency, the person responsible for security on the TTC. It's never really be an issue. I think the fees on the TTC, the fares, I mean, there's a whole issue with whether or not we're getting enough money from the province. There's enough issue of whether or not the city's putting enough into there. Some people believe, and I think I kind of tend to agree with this idea, that if you want to get cars off the road and you want better traffic flow, one, obviously you have to improve the frequency of service across the entire GTA. Particularly outside of the core, because outside of the core the frequency is really bad, and maybe charge a one flat small fee, $1 a ride for everybody. But that would encourage people over the long term to give up cars and start using transit. If you did it today, people aren't going to give up their cars tomorrow to, I'm going to take the TTC today. No, it's going to be 5 years from now when their cars are breaking down and they have to replace. They're going to say, I could wait a couple more years and take the TTC instead, and maybe they'll get accustomed to the TTC. That, by the way, is not just an issue with the TTC. I was in Mississauga previously, and the TTC is gold standard compared to Mississauga, or if you go up to Vaughan, those systems are horrendous compared to the TCC. So this is a huge issue right across southern Ontario, really.
Well, public transit is the lifeblood of any community, and especially a major city, obviously, right? So thank you very much for your thoughts. It's been very informative, and we appreciate you talking with us.
All right.
I'm happy to have a progressive mayor and see what direction we go in from here. Yeah, I mean, she's talked about adding things like affordable housing and such. We'll see where she gets the money for that, or how she prioritizes things to get that kind of thing done. But that's the general gist of what I've heard thus far. Anyways.
Well, what other priorities do you think, in your opinion, should she have on the city?
I mean, we've been waiting on the TTC improvements for a while, so that would be nice to see. It's a big city. There's a lot to do, and I'm not an expert on where these priorities should necessarily be, because there's always unintended consequences. When you prioritize one thing, something else tends to go to heck. So I'll leave it up to them and see what the results are, and if she's And if she's not embarrassing or if she does a quality job, she'll get my vote again if she runs again. Would basically be how that goes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Olivia. I'm very happy to call you my new mayor. I definitely think one of the things that you got to keep fighting for is to keep Science Centre where it is and keep the waterfront public on Ontario Place, because all of these things that Ford's crazy ideas, someone's got to put a stop to it, because, you know, he's trying to rule Toronto, but let him just worry about ruining the rest of the, I don't know what to say.
Someone to stand up for Ford,
Exactly.
to Ford and his defunding of a lot of the things going on in Toronto right now.
Exactly, and you know what's best for the people. You've been working on the ground level, so I know it's going to be tough, but you're the one for the job. So,
What do you think on her platform on affordable housing? She's vowed to create, I think it was 25,000 affordable rental units over the course of 8 years.
absolutely necessary, and so happy that that's being addressed, because there's just so many empty glass boxes here, and prices. I personally was condo evicted from where I used to live, and it's nice to see that someone's finally standing up and considering that people need to live in the city, not just cars. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of, what do you think of her thoughts on trying to upgrade the TTC?
I mean, TTC, I would say that, yes, more policing isn't the answer. I'd say that, you know, keep working on transit. And again, her plan to have actual, like, caring for people that are in need, as opposed to being reactionary. Preventative measures are always the best idea. So, yes.
Awesome, Madge. Thank you so much for your thoughts and your time.
I just love her. I was so excited. I was rooting for her all the way. And I know she will bring change. It's not going to be easy. But if anybody can, Olivia can. And I hope that council, I'm often at city council doing deputations, will back her up in that regard.
Well, here's hoping, and thank you very much for talking to us.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us at the Disability Den, and I'm Jay Draper, signing off.
You have any thoughts on the election?